All right, we are live, I think. Well, I see the little animation around my icon, so I appear to be live. Um, Here's what the deal is today. We are indeed going to be doing improv Bible study, but in my haste to find my Bible, I also misplaced my camera. That's the that's the downside of a plug and play appliance. Is if you unplug, then you cannot play. Um, wow, nobody clip that and take that out of context. Okie dokie. Let's see. What do we got? We got a little bit of housekeeping. Hey, Paul. We have a little bit of housekeeping to do before we uh, plunge into the good book. I realized it had been a while since I thanked new subscribers and wasn't sure at this point who I had thanked and who I had not. So I just had to run back through my most recent library members. So welcome, welcome, and thank you for joining us to Chris, to B, to Alexis, to Granny, to Aaron, to Kristen, to Kat, to Joseph, and lastly, but by no means leastly, to Paul. Paul is down there in the chat, and Paul is also my first patron. For those of you who don't know, I have a little Patreon account over there at patreon.com/JunkshopLibrary. If you ever want to decide you want to contribute financially to the goings on and the foolishness over here, that is how you can do that and join the ranks of the elite. So far, the elite is Paul, and he is even more immensely appreciated because of that. All right, let's check on the chat here. All right, we got, yeah, okay, good, good, good. All righty, so with acknowledgments and thank yous sufficiently, I think sufficiently done, we will just plunge right into the quote unquote good book and see what fresh hell awaits us today. If I'm recalling correctly, and I think I did because I did go back and check, last time we gathered together, we finished out the book of 1 Samuel, which means we will be turning today to the book of 2 Samuel, starting with the first chapter, the first verse, obviously. And while I ran out of riff on that before I finished what I was doing. I've got a little granny chain on my reading glasses here that I had to disengage in order to make it not interact in a mayhem and foolishness kind of way with my headset. Paul says, LOL, I'm the first. I've never been first in anything. And just think, my friend, you'll never be able to say that again. Alrighty, let us see here. 2 Samuel, first chapter. I have no earthly idea what happens. I know Saul died last chapter. And in case we didn't remember that, chapter 1, verse 1, now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag. It came even to pass on the 3rd day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul. We've done this before. I am an Amalekite. Go near and fall upon him and smite him until he dies. We have 100% done that chapter. Did I put my bookmark in the wrong place? This is riveting television, isn't it? No graphics on the screen except for a picture of my happy smiling face that StreamYard's apparently chose from the archives at random. I should probably be grateful it's that one. Let's see. How have the mighty fallen and the weapons of war perished? Alright, well that's where my bookmark was, and then we go to 2 Samuel chapter 2 that wraps around onto the page. So we're going to assume... I know what I'm doing, I promise. I'm all professional and stuff. Great koogly moogly. Aren't you glad you tuned in today? Chapter 2. And it came to pass after this, that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, Go up. And David said, Whither shall I go up? And he said, Unto Hebron. So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh-Gilead were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh-Gilead, and said unto them, Blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have shewed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. And now the Lord shew kindness and truth unto you, and I will also requite you this kindness, because ye have done this thing. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be ye valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. But Abner the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. Abner the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David, went out, and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, Let the young men now arise, and play before us. And Joab said, Let them arise. And there arose, and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. And they caught every one his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side, so they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called Helkath Hazurim, which is in Gibeon. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel, before the servants of David. And there were 3 sons of Zeruiah there, Joab, and Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was light of foot as a wild roe. And Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. And Abner looked behind him and said, Art thou Asahel? And he answered, I am. And Abner said unto him, Turn thee aside to thy right hand, or to thy left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from the following of him. And Abner said again to Asahel, Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother? Howbeit he refused to turn aside, wherefore Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the 5th rib, that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down there, and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell... Let me try that one again. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. Joab also and Abishai pursued after Abner, and the sun went down when they were come to the valley of Ammah, that lieth before Giah in the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. And the children of Gibeon gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on the top of an hill. Abner called to Joab and said, Shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How long shall it be then, ere thou bid the people return from following their brethren? And Joab said, As the Lord liveth, unless thou hadst spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up every one from following his brother. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still, and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they any more. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain, and passed over Jordan, and went all through Bithron, and they came to Mahanaim. And Joab returned from following Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men, and Asahel. But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin and of Abner's men, so that 360 men had died. And they took up Asahel, and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron at break of day. There we have the second chapter of 2 Samuel. Let's see. We got Maya Adkison in the chat, and we got Angel in the chat. Welcome, y'all. Thank you for joining us here today on very little notice. Alrighty. Well, in this chapter, we see the beginning of the divided kingdom, Israel and Judah. The one tribe of Judah led by David, the one true king, the anointed of God, and all the rest of it carved up and given to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, no longer legitimate because Saul's authority was taken away from him by the Lord. Anybody remember why? Because he did a stupid. He did not do as he were told. Tall Saul was supposed to do a massacre, and he did a partial massacre and a livestock stealing and a kidnapping instead, and God didn't like that as much as he would have liked the massacre. So he took away the authority and the sanity from Tall Saul and gave it instead to David the shepherd boy. And that's the long and the short of that. All right, yeah. Julie in the chat says, right, Yahweh hates it when you don't do the massacres like he wanted. Exactly. They got to be done exactly right and on his terms. Otherwise, you get yourself burnt alive or given an evil spirit from God or some shit like that. Oh, Angie says, why can't I see your adorable face? Thank you, Angie. You're so sweet. Because I lost my camera. It's around here somewhere, but I can't figure out what I did with it. And going hunting for it would have taken so long that I would have ended up starting this even later than I ended up doing. Yeah, Maya points out, Yahweh, the all-knowing, loving, and forgiving Father, who sponsors the massacres and gets mad when you don't do enough massacring. All right. So today we had the beginning of the divided kingdom. That was what sent me on that particular little rabbit trail there. And yet, then we had this weird interlude with Abner chasing Asahel. and refusing to turn aside, despite Abner saying, "Leave me alone! We're distantly related after all. Let me run away in peace. Have some of the armor of all these young men." But he didn't. So Abner stabbed him with the back end of a spear so hard that it went all the way through him and he died. Why doesn't Julie have a wrench? That is a good question. And since I'm in StreamYard, I can't actually do anything about that. I can't add nor subtract mods, nor members, nor any other thing. Angie says, takes my parents are going to kill me to a whole new level. Yeah, no kidding. All right, now here's what I don't understand about this chapter. Y'all see if y'all can help me here. In verses 13 and 14, after the kingdom has been divided, Abner and Joab and their attendant throng go down and they meet at the pool of Gibeon, one either side of the pool. And Abner floats the idea that the young men arise and play before us. Now, I didn't know what I was expecting when I read that verse. I have no recollection of this chapter from my Bible schooling days, no recollection whatsoever at all. So I didn't know what was going to come up from the "let the young men arise and play before us" passage. And then the young men from either side arise 2 by 2 and stab each other to death and set off a battle. What the fuck is going on in this story? Is this an idiom issue? Is it like feet back with Moses and then later with Ruth, that there's just some kind of weird idiom that's lost in the 1611 translation nightmare? Hey Faye, welcome. I mean, it's almost got to be, right? Let the young men arise and play before us. This has to be a weird idiomatic moment that refers to like trial by combat or gladiator culture or something of this nature. That's the only thing really that it's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that makes any sense to me. Because otherwise, this whole giant fuck-off war with 360 dead on one side and 17 on the other is just a result of a whole bunch of strapping young lads misinterpreting "go play a game of touch football" as "go stab each other to death at the same time." And let's face it, weird battles and wars and feuds have been triggered in this book by way less. It just seems unlikely. I don't know. Let them arise and play before us. Agreed to by the captains of both sides. 12 and 12 they go up. The sons of Benjamin, the followers of Ishbosheth, and the servants of David, captained by Zeruiah, or Joab, rather, Joab, the son of Zeruiah. Hey, Amiga Nuts, welcome. This is about the most fuss we've ever had in one of these streams. Apparently, I managed to pick just the right time of day somehow. I had originally planned on doing this at 2, and then I went in to set things up and was checking YouTube as I was going along, and I saw that that Linda had a stream scheduled for 2 o'clock, and I was like, well, I'm not missing that. So here we are, a little after 3. And then it ended up being a little later than that because Mr. Junk Shop's real organized and couldn't find anything. Note to self, set up earlier. All right. Well, with that incredibly insightful bit of highly informed commentary, I think I'm going to roll on from chapter 2. We'll turn to chapter 3 and see what fresh weirdness awaits us there. Chapter 3, scanning over it, is a little long, so brace yourselves. The word of the Lord for nobody in particular. Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And unto David were sons born in Hebron, and his firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and his second Chileab of Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite, and the third Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. And the fourth, oh Lord, here we go with the begats. And the fourth Adonijah, the son of Haggith. And the fifth Shephatiah, the son of Abitel. And the sixth Ithream, by Eglah, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine. All the best stories start this way, yes? And Saul had a concubine, whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, Wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? And then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do shew kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren, and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman? So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him. To translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner a word again, because he feared him. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Whose is the land? Saying also, Make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all Israel unto thee. And he said, Well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, Deliver me my wife Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent, and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish. But her husband went with her along, weeping behind her, to Baharim. Then said Abner unto him, Go, return. And he returned. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, Ye sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now then do it, for the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, By the hand of my servant David in times past to be king over you. And I will save... I'm sorry, y'all. Let me try that again, reading sequential lines. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, Ye sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now then do it, for the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, By the hand of my servant David I will save my people Israel out of the hands of the Philistines, and out of the hand of all their enemies. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin, and Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron, all that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. So Abner came to David in Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. And Joab and all the host that was with him were come. They told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he hath sent him away, and he is gone in peace. And Joab came to the king, and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? Thou knowest Abner the son of Ner, that he came in to deceive thee, to know thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah, but David knew it not. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him there under the 5th rib, that he died for the blood of Asahel his brother. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever, from the blood of Abner the son of Ner. Let it rest on the head of Joab and all his father's house, and let there not fail from the house of Joab one that hath an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. So Joab and Abishai his brother slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon in the battle. And David said to Joab and to the people that were with him, Rend your clothes, and gird you with sackcloth, and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the bier. And they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king lamented over Abner, and said, Died Abner as a fool dieth? Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put into fetters. As a man falleth before wicked men, so fellest thou. And all the people wept again over him. And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David sware, saying, So do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else till the sun be down. And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner the son of Ner. And the king said unto his servants, Know ye not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? And I am this day weak, though anointed king. These men, the son of Zeruiah, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. And there we have the 3rd chapter of the book of 2 Samuel. Poor David. Just can't get peace to last, can he? Oh, Julie in the chat says, yeah, peace never lasts. Yeah, sorry, I'm behind in the chat. Let's see. Oh, Hello, Paul. Paul blames the stay-at-home order for having to watch this. Well, yeah, that was my big giant plan, you know. I set the coronavirus in motion and then got everybody to have to stay home, especially so I could have record numbers in my live streams. It's all part of my, as Chris would say, evil plan of doom and despair. Such power. Yes, this one does have a concubine in it. Thy father's concubine. Hey, Kat. Welcome, welcome. People just rolling in from all over the globe. I love it. I am so happy right now. Y'all don't even know. If I knew what I'd done with my damn camera, you'd see me rubbing my hands in absolute glee right now. You can hear it. Alrighty. So, in this chapter, poor David tries once again for peace and just can't get it to save him. Because people are just determined to have slaughter and vengeance and death, no matter how he tries otherwise. You know, somebody who started off his political career with throwing a rock through the head of a big giant Gathiite, he's a relative man of peace, is Mr. David. Especially for someone who has his predecessor's lack of massacre to credit for his having been put in the kingly line to begin with. Amiga Nut says, menacing voices scare me. Was I making a menacing voice? I can do it more often. Hey, and Doorknob Head's here. Oh, Lord, now we're in trouble. Hey, Doorknob Head, welcome. Angie has to go stir her fire. I'm not even going to ask. Okay, so let's see. We had the vengeance killing in retaliation for the death of Asahel, stabbed in the exact same place as Mr. Asahel got stabbed. Poor David's trying to reunite the kingdom and also reunite his household. Because lest we forget, which I certainly had done, Saul's daughter Michal was David's first wife way back in the day. Who was the one that he bought with 200 Philistine foreskins when Saul had only asked of him 100? And he was so determined that he not be undercounted, I guess, that he insisted on bringing twice the number. And also, he got to murder 200 Philistines in the process, so I guess that was all right. Ugh. Lord. Okay. So yes, he's the reconciliation of the kingdom is attempted by Mr. Abner, saying, "Let's gather together again." And see if we can bring peace to this big giant family that's seems in danger of doing what all big giant families do, to split apart into warring factions. And David says, that sounds good to me. One thing though, I hear rumors that my first wife Michal has gotten herself married off in the intervening years during which I have taken multiple wives and not given her any thought that we've been, at least that have been written and handed down to us. So I want my original wife back. And the guy says, okay, and goes and fetches her away from her apparently quite devoted husband, and who follows along behind her for some distance before being taken aside and sent home. Poor Phaltiel, the son of Laish. First and probably only time he's been mentioned. And, oh yeah, and David racking up the wives, isn't he? He knew about Amnon, or rather not Amnon, Amnon's the son, but Ahinoam, the Jezreelitess. And we knew about Abigail, the wife of Nabal. And Eglah is new, is she not? Eglah, David's wife, father of his sixth son, Ithream. All right. So Mr. Abner came, or his messengers came, it's a little vague as to exactly who it was, came to David and said, let's reunite this kingdom. I'm just all over the place today, y'all. Sorry about that. And, oh, Doorknob says, the water in the background is awesome. Except I know I'm going to have to pee soon. Yeah, that's the fish tank. That's Spencer's house. Got a new, larger filter in it, and it makes a lot of racket now. And so Abner and David strike their bargain, and Abner goes off on his way. And Joab and his little army come back from a spoiling run. Hey, Dave, welcome. Everybody is here. It's amazing. I love it. I'm so happy right now. Joab and his troop come back from a spoiling run. And Joab hears that Abner done come and gone with a peace offering and being let to go on his way. And he kind of gets up in David's face about it. Says, you know him. You know he's a slimy, double-crossing, no-good swindler. Why are you... You know he was just here to spy on your ass, right? Do I have to hang over your shoulder all the damn time to get you to king right? How hard is it to king right? All you got to do is kill anybody you know to be a double-crosser. And David says, look, it was peaceful. And Joab says, yeah, the hell it was. And he takes off and goes after and seeks out and kills Mr. Abner. Just straight stabs him under the fifth rib. For as far as Mr. Abner can tell, no discernible reason, unless he recognizes Joab by sight as old Asahel's brother. Smile? Oh, oh, Dave says the grin in that image is terrifying. Hey, Godless Granny, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Julie says that's the come on in, sit a spell, and let me tell you of horrors smile. Yeah, apparently StreamYards knew exactly which image I was going to need to be my my avatar when I didn't have a camera up. Normally, it's on all other platforms. It's that purple and green image of me that that Faye the Most Gracious did for me last year. But this works too. All right, I saw. Yeah. Julie's stirring up trouble in the chat. How do y'all feel about the portrayal of wives in this chapter? Makes me feel like they're props. Could any of these wives not be played by a lamp? Yes. Yes, absolutely agreed. I mean, It's a problem with this book overall. Really? I mean, quick. Name a woman and you can't say Eve or Ruth. Exactly. I mean, you might churn out Rachel or Leah, both of them bought with 7 years hard labor each. Property. Um, Now I'm trying to think of another one. Rahab the harlot, defined only by her profession and the fact that she snuck spies into her own city, which only turned out to be a good thing because they were Israelite spies, and this is the book of the Israelites. Godless grannies on it. Mary. Yeah, well, there is that. Deborah. Maya says Esther. Angie reaches in for the deep cut with Naomi. Yes. Well done. Y'all see, y'all could do this. Why am I doing this? Angie says lamps or a chair. Yeah, a potted palm. Jochebed. Oh, Godless Granny and Angie are just gonna have a little come to Jesus over the deep cut ladies here. Jochebed. Forgot all about Miss Jochebed. Alrighty. Yeah, it's definitely a by men for men book, isn't it? There's not a lot here to grab onto if you're, you know, not a man and a fairly Bronze Age or Bronze Age oriented sort of man either. Priscilla, Godless Granny's just to get every single Sarah. Doorknob Head wants to be a harlot, it seems. He said so in the chat. I just report them, y'all. I don't make them up. All right. Well, at least we got some fun and some discussion out of that chapter, which is more than has been the case for most of 1st and 2nd Samuel so far, because it's just been chronicles of tedious more war, more war. Amiga Nuts, yes, there was a magic lamp earlier in this story, a floating one. God appeared to Abram before he was Abraham in the guise of a magic lamp. Or rather, Abraham stayed up all night surrounded by a miasma from a bunch of rotting meat in a desert evening and dreamed he saw a magic lamp that told him to move to the other end of the earth and change his name and take his wife with him at the age of 90 or 300 or some such stupid, ungodly shit. Jezebel. Yes. Oh, we'll get to Jezebel eventually. That's a fun one. Y'all, Julie says Zillah. Y'all are trolling me now, right? Somebody got out a concordance or a Bible dictionary or something. You're actually Googling names of women in the Bible. There is no way somebody remembered Zillah off the top of their head.
Because of Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, because of Handmaid's Tale. Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. All right. Don't forget Delilah. Yep. All right. Let's see. Where did I put my... I just can't find anything today, and I've had my glasses right here in front of my damn face. All right. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. All right, we're going to roll into chapter 4. This will probably be the last one because we're at 45 minutes now, and I don't want to run much over an hour just for reasons of replay value. Angie swears y'all are not cheating. Okay. I'll take your word for it, y'all. I believe you. I'm just giving you crap. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. And Saul's son had two men that were captains of bands. The name of the one was Baanah, and the name of the other Rechab, the sons of Rimmon, a Beerothite of the children of Benjamin, for Beeroth was also reckoned to Benjamin. And the Beerothites fled to Gittaim, and were sojourners there until this day. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it came to pass, as she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame. And his name was Mephibosheth. And the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, Rechab and Baanah, went, and came about the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosheth, who lay on a bed at noon. And they came thither into the midst of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat. And they smote him under the fifth rib. And Rechab and Baanah his brother escaped. For when they came into the house, he lay on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote him, and slew him, and beheaded him, and took his head, and gat them away through the plain all night. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold, the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul thine enemy, which sought thy life. And the Lord hath avenged my lord the king this day of Saul, and of his seed. And David answered Rechab and Baanah his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, and said unto them, As the Lord liveth, who hath redeemed my soul out of all adversity, when one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him, and slew him in Ziklag. Who thought that I would give him a reward for his tidings? How much more, when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed, shall I not therefore now require his blood of your hand, and take you away from the earth? And David commanded his young men, and they slew them, and cut off their hands and their feet, and hanged them over the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth, and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. And that's chapter 4. All right. Well, if the last few chapters have taught us anything, it's that Mr. David does not like this war without end philosophy that so many of his subordinates are so in love with. Scan back through the chat here. Trying to remember the wife, Godless Granny says, I'm trying to remember the wife that saved her man with an offering when he turned David away. That was Nabal, the husband, and his wife was, hang on, I just read it, it was in the last chapter. The wife of Nabal, doodly-doodly-dee-dee. I know I'm looking right over it, because it was on this left-hand side of this last page. Well, I thought it was. Yeah, but the wife of Nabal, whose name I should remember, but do not. Doorknob Head's giving us crap. No, Doorknob Head, SJ was not in the Bible. Ziklag. No, I am not making stuff up. All this craziness is actually in the book. The one book. The holy book. All this crazy names and carryings on and chopping off of body parts as examples. Alright, so we get the origin story of how Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, the son of David, how he became lame, because his nurse dropped him when he was 5, when she heard that Saul and Jonathan had been killed in a war, and while she was running away, she dropped him and lamed his feet. And then these two rogues, Rechab and Baanah, sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, come into the house of Ishbosheth. Ishbosheth being, of course, I am stalling for time here while I scan back looking for it. Ishbosheth was the son of Saul? Ishbosheth had Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, Ishbosheth was Saul's son, and they come creepsy and tricksy into his house, and for some reason he's lying around in bed in the middle of the day. Maybe it was just because of ungodly heat of the Judean desert. I might still be in bed at noon too, or again in bed taking me a siesta. If I had to deal with heat like that, no thank you. And they come into the house acting like they're here to grab some wheat, and they stab him to death instead. And having stabbed him to death, they chop off his head and sneak out all creepsy and tricksy the same way as they came. They get away clean. They go back to David and they say, "Hi, we hadn't learned our lesson about you wanting war without end to stop. So here's the head of old man Saul, who you desperately did not want to kill, and who you got so unbelievably mad at the killers of." And David says, "God fucking damn it, you people don't learn. None of y'all, nobody, of all of you, none of you listen to me. I'm the goddamn king. What do I have to do to make you people listen? I do not want Saul's bloodline snuffed out. I didn't even want goddamn Saul snuffed out. Do you remember when somebody came bragging to me looking for a reward that he had killed Saul? Do you remember what happened? I had him murdered in front of everybody as an example. So guess what? And he has them killed and beheaded and behanded and befooted and hanged up over the public pool as an object lesson. And then he takes poor Ishbosheth's head and buries it in the family crypt. Wonderlady says, like the video, tweet out the link, Facebook out the link, recommend this on your blogs, please. Yes, please. Do all the stuff. Here, I'll let you in on a little secret. She doesn't know about it, but Linda and I are currently in a race. It's the race to 100. A bit of tea in Danish, Linda and I are both at 92 subscribers. And if I can sneak up to 100 before she gets there, I will be able to say nanny boo boo. And of course, she will as well. Hey, Chris, welcome, welcome. Wow, people just rolling in here in the last part of the hour. I love it. Let's see, scanning through the chat. Doorknob Head thinks I cuss too much. Oh, Angie cheated and got Abigail. Yeah, that's right. I knew that. Let's see here. Amiga Nuts calls it the murder, death, kill. Yep. Surprisingly rewatchable movie, that is. Yes, I know. I'm a big giant nerd. Uh, Chris says, I hope you're doing good and staying safe. Yes. Yes, I am. I hope everybody's staying safe. This is some scary, scary times we're living in right now. I told some folks earlier we had to go out earlier today, had to make a supply run, and it was tense. Everybody was so fucking tense. You could, I mean, just everybody vibrating at a very tense frequency. Everyone, trying to stay at least 6 feet away from each other. Everybody looking a little askance at each other over their masks. It's it's rough out there, y'all. Chris says we're doing a pretty good job of avoiding the cooties so far. Yep, same here. Same here. We're just and do that thing, y'all. Stay in, wash your hands. Use a hand sanitizer if you're lucky enough to have any around. Just remember, it's not really a substitute for washing your hands. It'll kill the germs, but then you still got dead germs on your hands. So, wash your hands, stay safe, cough into your elbow, do all of that. Amiga Nut says I've gone maniacal reading this book. Yeah, and just imagine, we're not even a third of the way into this fucking thing. And yes, you should all definitely make sure you're subscribed to Julie because A, she's awesome, and B, she does Wine and Reason, which is a fantastic modern secular humanist feminist series that she doesn't do nearly enough episodes of. Poke, poke, haha, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, Paul reminds us, don't listen to Jesus. Wash your hands. Yes, it very much is what goeth into a man's mouth that maketh him unclean. And up his nose and everywhere. Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap there. I know everybody. We had quite a few people come in a little ways into the hour, but I wanted to keep this one right around an hour, just in hopes of getting something like replay value out of it. Um, so, soap, doorknob head, soap. As Granny says, keep your germs and your crazy to yourself, please. All right. So we're going to wrap it here. We will be back sooner than we likely expect for the 5th chapter of the book of 2 Samuel. Hopefully I'll have my camera set up again then, and if we're real lucky, I might even have a light. Because Faye wants me badly to get a light and gave me a recommendation for one. Thank you, Faye. Seriously, because as I mentioned the other day, I had no idea how even to begin there. So thank you. All right. So yes, we're gonna wrap it here. Everybody, take care. Be safe. Stand against hate. Take care of each other, y'all. Wash your hands. And wrap. Is today Thursday? Today's Thursday. In that case, you definitely want to make sure you go up to Dave's link in the chat there and subscribe to Julie LaVoice because we have our couples live stream tonight at 8 o'clock after Secular Sexuality on the ACA network. Supported and condoned. Bye, y'all. Be safe. End broadcast. Yes.